All right, the time is now 6 p.m. I'll go ahead and call tonight's school board meeting to order. Roll call has been taken, and we'll go ahead and stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, now we'll move on to item 3, which is to review, revise, and approve tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written? Moved by Trustee Decker, second by Trustee Garris. Any public comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, all those trustees in favor for approving tonight's agenda as written, please indicate yes by raising your hand. Unanimous to all trustees present. I'm unable to see Trustee Vogel. Is there a way? Yep, okay, thank you. Unanimous to all trustees present and online. So tonight, we're on number 4, which is to approve the board minutes for the regular meeting of February 13th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Moved by Trustee Wallach, second by Trustee Garris. Any public comment on this agenda item? All those in favor for approving tonight, or approving the minutes from February 13th, 2024, please indicate yes by raising your hand. Unanimous to all trustees present and online. So now we'll move on to item 5, which is public comment. We have received written correspondence, which we have read, and public comment is a portion of the meeting set aside for the public to address the board as a body. It is not time for board response or for the public to ask questions. Do not infringe on the right of privacy of others. Please sign in and spell your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Please do not go over. The chair may interrupt and terminate an individual speaker if the statements are out of order or over 3 minutes or directed at an individual. Any public comment?
We do have public comment tonight. The first person up is Brian Boot. Please sign in and say and spell your name for us.
That's it, right? That's good. Brian Boot, Brian Boot. I come to you today because I wanted to speak on our CTE departments and stuff, and the benefits that we have had with our, that I've seen with the students as such. For all of you that don't know, I am an automotive instructor, but I also teach, or I also do CTSO programs as well, like robotics and Skills USA. Over the past year, we've had great successes with our programs. I've seen students grow at an exponential rate. They can do amazing stuff. Last year in June, we did have a national champion for Skills USA in technical computer applications. That student got a full ride scholarship to Dartmouth and is pursuing engineering or computer engineering as his career. So I just wanted to put out there that the benefits that we have had with CTE is incredible. And I have a couple more students that will speak after me that will move on with more of that. But I just want to thank you for your continued support of our CTE departments. Thank you.
Haley Feist. Please go ahead and sign in.
My name is Haley Feist, Haileyfeist. I'm a senior at Sentinel High School, as well as the president of Skills USA. In the past 4 years of my high school career, I've taken welding 1 through 3, auto 1, and woods 1. When I first joined welding my sophomore year, I was uneducated in the trade. I was scared to ask for help or even to seem like I didn't know what I was doing. I was uncomfortable, and I didn't feel like I belonged in the shop, which made it really hard to learn about the trade that I was so passionate about, because I was convinced that women didn't belong in the shop. That was until my junior year when I decided to take Auto 1. That was when I met the new auto teacher, Miss Filbert. Immediately, I connected with her. Not only did that auto class create a whole new unit of knowledge, it also gave me the confidence that I needed to grow in welding. I saw this strong, smart, caring woman in the shop, and I thought to myself, I want to be just like her one day. I was able to say things like, "English, please," when I didn't understand what she was talking about. From there, I carried that confidence into welding, and I grew, and I haven't stopped growing since. I remember the first time that I met Mr. Boot. My auto class had taken over his classroom after the roof collapsed. By that time, I was thinking about college, so I took all of my confidence and I went to Boot with my questions. This conversation ended with him saying, "Why don't you join Skills USA?" So I showed up to a meeting and became the president almost immediately. Someone had to control those boys, right? During second semester, Boot stepped in as the zero-period welding teacher. Bold choice, in my opinion. He taught me everything I needed to know for my upcoming competition. I remember the sass he put up with every time he asked me to practice stick welding or to wear my coveralls. But he wouldn't give up on me, even to this day, attitude and all. I've yelled in Boot's face and probably said some things that I shouldn't have, but I hope he knows it's from the bottom of my heart for these programs, him, Miss Filbert, and the future of Skills USA. During second semester of my junior year, I hated coming to school. I was being bullied and I hated being there, but I did it solely for welding. Boot made it fun. He made those mornings so important that they were the only reason I got out of bed at 6 a.m. and got to school on time. That was when my knowledge of welding peaked, and that was thanks to Boot's insistence that I could do anything I put my mind to. Today I have an internship at Lifting Technologies Welding, and I have a job at 2 other companies welding for them, and I'll be attending North Idaho College to get my associate's degree in welding next fall. I'll also be signing up for Skills USA in college because believe me when I say I would not have the leadership and job skills that I have today without it. Along with being able to sit up here and talk to all of you today. Last year I stood up here and I froze. I beat myself up for days because I was not able to communicate the importance of these programs to you. Not only have these amazing human beings helped me learn, they've also turned me into the strong woman that I am today, and I will forever be grateful for that. They have been huge inspirations in my life, and as a TA for Auto 1 this semester, I can see the cycle in other students. Being a woman or even just a kid in the trades is hard, but with these 2 teachers, it will never be impossible. I want to quickly steer off the tracks of the trade classes and mention our amazing teacher, Ms. Hossel. She's one of our study skills teachers at Sentinel, and even though I've never been enrolled in her class, she welcomes me.
Your time's up. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Please hold your applause. Landon Crow.
My name is Landon Crow. I'm a sophomore at Hellgate High School. I'm the secretary for Skills USA, the Missoula chapter. I'd like to start off by just saying that the CTE programs have done a wonder for me and so many other people at my school and the schools around Missoula. I think that if we got rid of these programs, we would end up losing a lot of the people in the workforce and our next generations of the workforce. If we had a world without blue-collar workers and people in the workforce that want to be in the workforce, say automotive mechanics for example, if your car breaks down in 20 years when there's somebody or when nobody wants to work on your car because there's nobody that knows how, what are we going to do? That doesn't seem like a great future in my opinion. I think the benefits of these programs, I've personally benefited from a lot of them. I've gotten multiple job offers from a lot of diesel tech companies and welding companies and all the sort. Just being a sophomore in high school, and I think that's pretty cool. My experiences in specifically in welding, I've helped a lot of friends make a lot of things. I've made a lot of things for myself, and I've made a lot of things for people. I have friends who have used their knowledge from the welding programs and the auto programs that have built entire vehicles on their own with the knowledge that they know and the jobs that they've received because of these programs. A year ago, I had no clue the difference between an arc and a stick weld. Now I can fabricate my own tools and my own parts. I'm gonna pretty much end it right here with I think a world without blue-collar workers is a world that is destined to fail. Thank you.
Please, no applause. Please hold your applause. Thank you.
Monica Thompson.
School Board Trustees and MCPS Administration.
Just
My
a
name is
quick
Monica.
reminder to spell your name for us, too.
My name is Monica Thompson, Thompson, and I'm one of the 9 current elementary art teachers. I'm here today in response to the difficult decisions of the last board meeting and with the insistence to know that I have tried everything to get our students what we know they need. You've been forced with impossible scenarios and impossible decisions for which I am sorry. We understand that this is a state funding issue, and we've initiated advocacy at that level. We all know that takes time. What we really don't have is time. Please pardon my soapbox, but I've personally poured my blood, sweat, and tears into growing this elementary art program for the last 14 years, and I'm really not into moving backwards. Like, really not into it. I may still be working through the anger stage of my grief cycle, so please pardon any over-frankness, but I'm trying to claw my way out of it through action. As I tell my art students all the time, it's okay. We can do hard jobs. Before I get to my request, please know a few things. Artists are scrappy. We're used to making something out of nothing with limited resources. We're used to getting the short end of the stick. Too soon? As a result, we've learned to be creative problem solvers and are able to see this budget pickle as another problem that just needs a creative solution. So to my request, please consider adding elementary art teachers to the safety levy. We have a compelling argument. We are one more safe adult for students to connect with. We provide a safe and healthy option for student expression. We provide a safe place for students to take a risk in a supportive environment. We often connect to students that don't always excel in a general classroom setting, and we currently have the capacity to connect with students for 6 or even 7 years. We know that early intervention at the elementary school level is the most effective way to impact a child's life. We make the school a safer and more self-regulated place. We understand the depth and breadth of the work that had to go into those draconian cuts 2 weeks ago, but we're trying to move forward within these crisis-level budget times and still provide students with the programming we know they need. So from what I can tell, we all need to pass a levy. Not to brag, not sure if you guys noticed or not, but we had a pretty good showing the other week for the arts. The arts are highly valued in this town. People show up for art. Adding elementary art staffing to the safety levy makes the whole deal more viable. People will vote for art in the elementary schools. Thank you for your time, and in advance for your open-mindedness and creativity in approaching this problem of providing MCPS elementary students with the programming they need. High-quality art education delivered by a certified art specialist from their building. Thank you.
Tiffany Miller.
Tiffany Miller, Tiffany Miller. Dear MCPS Board, in the past few weeks, you have heard many Missoula community members speak in support of arts and education, including students who have shared their hearts and passion about art and expressed the ways that it has enriched their lives. I want to thank all of them for giving a voice to their experiences, allowing us all an opportunity to reflect on what is in the best interest of our students' education and well-being. Tonight, I will speak on the vital role art teachers play in the Integrated Arts Initiative that is being implemented in our elementary schools through grant funding. As an MCPS art educator with a Master's of Art specializing in integrated arts, I cannot speak more to the value this initiative could have for our students. However, actualizing the goal of integrated arts cannot be done without full-time art teachers at each school. The elementary art teachers have attended multiple MCPS professional development workshops on art integration, highlighting the specialist's essential role in establishing a well-rounded integrated arts approach to learning. Consistently, my colleagues and I were reminded of the critical components of a healthy arts ecosystem, which are art as curriculum, art enhancement, and arts integration. By eliminating art teachers, the ecosystem can no longer function as it was meant to. The consequence is the loss of integrity in the arts integration as we are offering our students here. It is my understanding that part of the 3-year grant-funded initiative is to have specialists collaborating with classroom teachers on integration. This is not possible if we go back to seeing our students approximately 4 weeks, which only ends up being 10 times per year. I ask you tonight to consider the essential role our teachers have in the future of a successful arts integrated program. We take pressure off our classroom teacher peers by offering knowledge they will need to integrate art, for example, the various art mediums and art history into their curriculum. With full-time art teachers at each school, the necessary collaboration is possible. It is the ability to work together, teachers and specialists, that allow for this third component in a healthy integrated arts ecosystem. The 3 must work in unison to provide students the solid foundation to expand their creativity into the future and beyond the classroom. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Kayla Cross.
Keila Cross, Keilacross. Hi, I'm a Montanan, a mother, and I'm honored to be one of 9 elementary art teachers. I have 22 years K-12 teaching experience in MCPS as an art teacher, special ed teacher, and an interventionist. And like my colleagues, I've dedicated my adult life to the young hearts and minds of Missoula's youth. Combined, we have 112 years teaching experience. We have a vested interest, and I invite you to include us in your discussions and decisions. We offer valuable insight and perspective. Together, we can do great things for kids. Thanks for this opportunity to speak briefly this evening as a mother and an educator about school safety. Our country is founded on the First Amendment. Self-expression is the cornerstone of our democracy. Our Constitution, both federal and state, protect the rights of the individual to express themselves, and this right is extended to children as well. Art, at its core, is self-expression. Not only do we provide a safe space, we are also giving children the tools to appropriately express themselves moving forward into life. We're able to do this consistently throughout their entire education, and between the elementary art teachers, we connect with every single elementary child in our district. Huge impact, huge responsibility. We know the needs are greater. It's not getting any easier to be a kid. So what happens when we take away this safe space where kids get to learn how to safely express themselves through various mediums with a certified art educator? There is a growing body of research and data showing a connection between art education and safe schools. Humans are designed to protect their children, provide them with opportunities, and nurture them to become their best selves. As a parent, I want my children to go to school and to be safe, not just physically, but emotionally. And I want this for my students also. We spend a lot of time trying to make schools safe physically, but what are we doing to make them emotionally safe? There's growing research supporting arts education and the crucial role in fostering safe school communities and combating school violence. These findings call attention to the pivotal role of arts education and providing students with socially, emotionally supportive learning environments that enhance relationships and substantially contribute to safer schools. Arts education gives children the ability to explore their humanity and learn appropriate ways to use self-expression. And according to the ESSA federal law, Every Student Succeeds Act, every child deserves a well-rounded, safe education, which includes arts education. I have so much more to say, so I'm just going to say, please reach out to us to further discuss arts education's vital role in school safety. Thank you so much.
Daniel Webb.
Hi, I'm Daniel Webb, D-A-N-I-E-L-W-E-B-B, and I'm here tonight to talk about two things. Firstly, as a music educator, it was incredibly discouraging to see you ignore the needs of teachers and cut important administrative and support positions. These teachers already put far more time and effort into their job than they are paid to do, and you've just gone and increased their workload further. You've also shown arts and CTE programs that you don't care about the needs and won't support them. A year ago, I would have loved to work for this district. Missoula is the hub for arts in Montana, and the schools are a big supporter of that. But now I've seen how quickly the school board will defund the arts at the side of line of trouble, and I'm having second thoughts about wanting to teach here. And I know many of my fellow music education students feel similarly. Second, as a community member, I was incredibly disappointed with the board's decision at the last meeting. There were nearly 50 public comments and over 100 written comments at the last meeting, all speaking out against your new budget, and yet you passed it almost unanimously. In defense of your plan, you said the times were hard and compromises need to be made, and we understand that. But the community made it clear that these are not compromises we are okay with making. As our elected representatives, we expect you to listen to us and take our voices into account, not completely disregard them as you did. You may think this issue was settled, that you approve the budget and can move on, but that's not the case. As evident by the numerous written comments submitted this week and the number of people here tonight, this community is not happy with this decision, and we will not move on and ignore it. You are able to ignore our voices at these meetings, to vote without regard for what the community wants, but we will hold you accountable. If you choose not to listen to our words, we'll make you listen the only way we can with our votes. Ultimately, it's the voters who decide whether or not you've done a good job, and right now, we aren't happy. So I really hope you consider the consequences of what you voted for and do your best to make it up. Thank you.
James Smart.
James Smart, James, S-M-A-R-T. I just came straight from the airport where I dropped off 2 out-of-state clinicians because I just ran a music festival at the university, over 900 kids, and half of them were from Missoula. So we didn't have the resources necessary to host this. So the very first person that I called was Monty Grisey. So, and he helped make things like that. He helps make things like this happen. So there's also, in 2 weeks, a jazz festival that has over 900 kids. Also, there's going to be some connection with Monty on that as well. The All-State Festival, 450 kids of the finest musicians in Montana, and that is even more integrated with his position. So he has a tremendous impact on everything that we do, and we're very proud of the excellence and kind of the extras for others, but not for here. So I also want to communicate that we've kind of assumed the mantle of music education in Montana because every year OPI reports no applicants and canceled positions statewide. So in the last 2 classes, more than any other subject in the College of Education, music has had the most applicants to the teacher education program. So we're trying to build that program. That program, it's critical to have a direct interface with an expert with a doctorate in music, so that our students can run through interviews and they can be placed correctly in the school programs. So Monty also helps with the 200 and 300 level observations to make sure that our students have a great experience, but also he helps make sure that he places people with faculty that he knows well in the Missoula schools. So it's absolutely critical for the maintenance of that position, because it affects not only current music teachers in the district that you've heard are very strapped for time, but it also affects future music educators, because we don't have a large pool of placements, and the hiring that the principals in conjunction with Dr. Grise do is absolutely critical to having our students give them the best opportunity possible. Thank you very much. I managed my time better this week.
Lisa Davy.
Hi, I'm Lisa Davey, Lisa-Davey. Tonight I'm here as a parent of MCPS students as well as an MCPS graduate. Music was one of the few things I could join in school that was financially accessible for my family. I was able to join many extracurricular music activities for an extremely low cost or for free, such as All City Winds, Missoula Youth Symphony, Missoula Children's Choir, AA band festivals, concert band festivals, All Northwest, All State, pep band, marching band, and travel to see the ocean for the first time. All of that is under the purview of the fine arts director. When my instrument was damaged, the music teacher worked with my family to let me use some of the money I'd raised working at the fair to replace it. It is the flute that I still play today for the free entertainment of our community. As I was playing my flute last night, I missed a key change, and I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry," to the people around me. And my seatmate said, "No worries, we all mess up." And I thought, isn't that the real lesson of art? It's an art that we learn to be human and to seek something beautiful and better and more beautiful, more moving and more complete. Even when I get the notes right, I'm working to fit in with the people around me, have a better tone, a better pitch, a more precise rhythm. And sometimes I remember to live, to make music, to experience life, and to be a part of something. My music teachers painted a vision of college for me, and I was the first in my family to graduate. Your mission is to ensure that each student achieves their full and unique potential, and they can't do that without knowing what it is to be human, connected, and alive. You have decided to cut the Director of Arts Education from the school district. This position clearly touches a huge percentage of our community. You have the power to reverse this decision. You can keep the head of a critical department who works very hard and coordinates district-wide and develops the program as a unified equal force. Sometimes in a rehearsal, a director will step away from the band so that we can work together and try to work without them. But eventually, the group slows down and falls apart and people get lost. Directors play a vital role. In art, we learn to admit our mistakes and to learn from them. We look for a better version of ourselves and how we express our humanity. It's okay to mess up, but we grow from trying. I urge you to hear how important this position is to our community, to go back to the drawing board and work with us to retain the Director of Arts Education. Thank you.
John Combs.
John Combs, John-Combs, Fine Arts Supervisor from 2009 to 2020. Yesterday in my letter to school board members, I mentioned visiting the Arts Education Office to see what was on the events board. These papers are all the events they plan each year. Each target list has the name of the event and the events that need to be completed for the event to come off successfully. Each paper represents hours, if not days, of work that needs to be accomplished. Each hour spent by the Arts Education Office is an hour that allows our faculty to engage with their students instead of the organizational details of the event. My questions to you are, how many hours do you think these sheets represent? And without an arts education director, what administrators or faculty members do you see doing these items in order to make sure these events come off successfully? These are not necessarily in chronological order. Let's look at Summer Music and Art Camp. Instrument Checkout Day. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of instruments, by the way. Fall PIR Day. Nothing like specific professional development for your staff. All-State 2023, Jim just mentioned that. The top musicians come from all over the state. Band, choir, and orchestra. Guess what city is most highly represented in that group? Year after year. The MMEA, Montana Music Education Association Conference, once every 4 years is in Missoula. This last year, it was at Hellgate High School. Guess who facilitated that? The UM Homecoming Parade. Do you see any high school and elementary groups in that? Yeah. Okay, AA Choir Festival. The AA festivals have been going on in the state of Montana for over 60 years. Okay, band, choir, and orchestra. Holiday concert risers, those things have to be moved if those elementary schools are going to do their holiday concerts. The All-State Jazz Festival, same thing with jazz, and guess what city is most represented? Fifth grade art experience, Meet the Artist. The sixth grade Red Wave, by the way, you don't want to miss them on Thursday. They're coming up to play that game. District Music Festival, oh my gosh. This takes days and days and days of planning to make sure that this is pulled off. It's the largest Montana High School Association student-centered event in the state. District 2 Music Festival happens right here. The Art Show at Southgate Mall. AA Orchestra Festival, the Buddy DeFranco Jazz Festival, the fourth graders going to the symphony, the Children's Choir Tour, the seventh grade Orchestra Festival, AA Band Festival, the Montana Institute of the Art when we go to visit them, the sixth grade Choir Festival, the Children's Choir Concert, 8th grade Music Day, the Northwest ACDA conferences, 7th grade General Music, 5th grade Band Fly-Up concerts, 5th grade Solo Day. Okay, I'm worn out. How many hours, how many days are going to be on the faculty and some administrator who doesn't really know how to do all that? Thank you for your time.
Hold your applause. If you're unable to hold your applause, I will ask you to leave the room. Please hold your applause.
Tom Cook.
Good evening. My name is Tom Cook, T-O-M-C-O-O-K, and I'm a 45-year member of the Missoula art community. My presentation to you tonight is twofold. One, to clarify the role of the arts within the educational curriculum, and two, to urge your collective reconsideration of the proposed elimination of the arts education director position. During a past board meeting, board members were heard describing arts opportunities for students as activities. With respect, I am here to remind you that the arts education, whether it is in music, the visual arts, or theater arts, is central to the core curriculum. As such, arts education is to arts experiences taking place outside the regular school day schedule, although exceedingly valuable, by the way, as physical education is to football or volleyball, for example. In both instances, the first refers to a subject area, which is part of the curriculum, while the second is extra or co-curricular. Future discussions must acknowledge to the centrality of the arts as part of the core curriculum. The public deserves not to be misinformed by referring to arts education as an activity. It is not. Second, MCPS is privileged to enjoy the services of a recognized professional serving in the position of Arts Education Director. Monty Grisey left a fully tenured university position to accept the invitation to serve the Missoula schools. His tireless efforts are worthy of your complete and unqualified support and nothing less. I urge you, as individual board members, to recognize the many diverse duties associated with his position here and to reinstate and honor his continued work. Missoula has a legacy of being truly an arts community. We all know that. Let's not dilute the arts experiences of our students by deleting the glue that holds this vitally important program together. Thank you.
Tracy Hardy.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Hardy. I'm a parent of current and past MCPS students. I'm a musician, a current MCPS special education instructional coach, a former MCPS music teacher, and an alumni of the MCPS music system. I'd like to express my extreme disappointment and outrage that the board approved the budget proposal that eliminates the position of the Arts Education Director at the meeting on February 13th. Thanks to Rob Wallach for truly hearing the voices of the community and opposing that budget proposal. I've done a lot of ruminating, trying to come up with something stellar to speak to you about today, and I really come to the conclusion that I probably can't come up with anything different than you've already heard. You've heard a lot. I've looked at nearly every letter posted to public comment over the last 2 weeks and decided that I would repeat some of the words and phrases that have been written by our fellow community members that have resonated with me. I hope they resonate with you. The people of this community value art. The arts help kids become functioning adults. Music and arts are part of the core curriculum, essential to our programming. 46 years, 5 people. The communities that form around Missoula's arts are one of the key foundations of who we are as people. You, a local body capable of making a difference. Work with us. Focused, unified support for the arts education for the students. MCPS board has a duty and a responsibility. Vital role. An arts supporting community who will vote accordingly. Every single performance needs a director. The art education director holds the capacity to help bridge the opportunity gap and ensure that every student can benefit from the transformative power of the arts. You are representing us, the voters. Cut somewhere else. Alternative solutions. We can do hard jobs. Unconscionable. The arts galvanize higher and lower social groups because they are inclusive. The arts saved my son's life. Rethink and reevaluate. We invite you to include us. The people have spoken.
Richard Rhodes.
My name is Richard Rhodes, RICHARDRHODES. I am a freshman at Sentinel High School, and I have autism spectrum disorder. The people whose jobs may be cut from this district have helped me, among others, more than comprehensible. I'm also in choir, orchestra, and BPA, all three of which have these things in common. They have helped me and many others get through tough times and provide groups for kids to call their friends, and they are also all at risk of being cut. Firstly, the behavior specialist that helped me when I was in elementary school. Back then, I would have sensory overloads at the drop of a hat. Think of one of the 700 kids born with Down syndrome. One in 36 kids born with autism, or nearly 10% of all kids born with ADHD, all robbed of their development if you cut this. Furthermore, the programs such as choir and orchestra have helped me greatly with my mental health and helped me find my love of music, and trust me, it is a love. You want to cut that. It's sickening. I guess those lives saved by the arts don't matter enough. When the board cuts the arts education director, it will put more stress on the programs that have, made me who I am today, and can make other kids who struggle with what me and countless other children deal with not get the support needed to be a part of our communities. It may be seen as an exaggeration, but I feel this could ruin our nation's future. Along with having less musicians as a result of cutting music, this would impact everyone's mental health because everybody loves music. Well, please rethink cutting these huge and important programs. I know there are far more things you can do more creatively, so please think more forward and more creatively like us on the autism spectrum. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Gary Gillette.
How am I supposed to follow that? I'm Gary Gillette, G-A-R-Y-G-I-L-L-E-T-T. I'm a retired music educator from Missoula. I was here a couple weeks ago. I thank you for listening to us all. And we're not pitting ourselves against anyone else. How am I supposed to pit myself and the fine arts director against that autistic boy? And those wonderful art teachers that we fought so many years to get elementary art into our classrooms so our kids could have visual arts every day. And the level of passion that you hear in people's voices. My old boss, John Combs, that he just couldn't go fast enough. The serenity of Tom Cook. All of us are friends and neighbors, and we're drawn here because of the arts of Missoula. If most of us weren't lucky enough to be born here, my kids were, and they continue to come back or stay here because of its wonderful arts community. And all of us that teach here, we came here because of that. Because there's a community that cares and goes the extra mile to help our kids experience art in a very meaningful way. All the items that John Combs read through, all those hours and hours of prep are going to have to be canceled. The event will have to be canceled, or it'll need to be organized by teachers. You're not going to be able to assign a non-arts educator administrator to handle that. That's ludicrous, which means that it's going to be on the onus of the teachers, and that's going to take time away from all the planning needed to be able to give our kids the best possible arts education that we can offer them. I know the cuts are hard. I can understand. If indeed that we're in a budget crisis and maybe we all suffer instead of just a small portion of us. The arts have always been, in my 40-plus year history here, the low fruit come budget cutting time. We've been through this time and time again. We call out the horses, and you see, the board sees the passion that the arts brings to us and then we find a different way, another way to be able to solve this temporary crisis. If we lose these positions, they'll be gone forever, and we can't afford that as a people. So please go back to the drawing board and instruct the superintendent to find other ways to be able to make this better for all of us. Thanks, folks.
Don Jaramillo?
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Hill. My name is Don Jaramillo, Jaramillo. I'm encouraging you, the Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Hill to reverse the decision regarding the elimination of the Arts Education Director and the Special Education Director. I do not need to add reasons as to why the positions are important, as you received numerous letters and many individuals spoke a few weeks ago regarding the importance of these roles. As a side note, I know you received numerous letters. I hope you've read all of them. We have passionate people in our community who believe that these positions are an important part of our school district culture. I've been a resident of Missoula for a few years. When my wife and I moved here to take care of my mother-in-law, we were quite surprised by the civic pride, especially as it pertains to the arts. We were amazed by the number of school groups and arts organizations that exist within our community. How did this happen, we asked ourselves. Well, I believe much of this success began in our public schools with our arts education director over 46 years ago. At the last board meeting, U of M music professors, current and retired music public school arts educators, professional musicians, parents, and even our current students spoke about the importance of an arts director. Superintendent Hill, as a district academic leader, our arts success should bring you pride. I can't believe you would like to see that success and support for the arts erode on your watch. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to make one suggestion regarding the budget. It's interesting to hear at the last board meeting that at least 1% of the budget has been set aside for a possible employee raise. We have a $6.5 plus million deficit. We are eliminating positions, trying to pass a levies measure, and we are possibly considering and negotiating a district raise. Does this make sense at this point in time? Now is the time for the superintendent, under the direction of the Board of Trustees, to work closely with the unions. This is not a problem for a few. This is not as simple as, do we turn on the lights or cut teachers? I believe all stakeholders should be equitably involved in finding budget solutions. If done correctly, in time, we will successfully overcome this situation. Thank you for your time.
Steve Shepro?
Good evening. My name's Steve Shepro. That's Steve, Steveshepro. I'm a dad to two grade schoolers at Lewis and Clark, kindergarten and second grade. I'm also a family practice PA in our community here. I want to speak on two things. I want to talk about the importance of the arts and other subjects outside of the core curriculum that you might call it, reading, writing, math, etc. I also want to talk about the budget shortfall and ways that we can address that. So for starters, I see this every day in terms of a divided culture, and I think it's really important that we have shared experiences as members of this world to try and communicate well with each other and understand where other people are coming from. Let me give you a hypothetical scenario. You're in the hospital or you're in the exam room. Maybe you guys have experienced this before. Have you ever had a provider come in and say, your mom has cancer, and this is what we're going to do. And then they walk out of the room, and there's a whole lot of book smart that's thrown at you, but you had a really unsatisfying experience. You don't really understand what the prognosis is going to be, how to deal with this. And then have you ever had somebody in the room with you who said, let's figure out what your goals are in life. Let's figure out what your mom's goals are in life. And really try to understand where you're coming from and how do you relate to that person. It's shared experiences. Maybe you've had an art class in the past. Maybe you've done auto mechanics in the past. And you can have that conversation that has nothing to do with the book smarts of this. You can have that shared experience and really understand where that person's coming from. And I think that having these subjects outside of the core curriculum are essential for us to be able to relate to others, not only just in that exam room, but down at the grocery store, on the street corner, etc. So I want to support the arts and other extracurricular and outside of the core subject topics. The second, talking about budget shortfall, we have, I've read a lot about cutting programs and cutting jobs, but I haven't read a lot about what we can do to increase the budget. There's a lot of smart people in Missoula and a lot of passionate people who want to see these programs stick around. What can we do? Should we be writing grants? Should we be looking at this potential state tax deferment that I saw, where we could take some of our personal income taxes and divert that towards Missoula County Public Schools? I didn't get that email until maybe 2 days before that deadline approached. We need to be talking more about what we can do to increase the budget rather than what we're just doing for cuts. Thank you.
Saxon Holbrook.
Hello, I'm Saxon Holbrook, SAXONHOLBROOK, President of the Montana International Choral Festival and Technical Director of Montana Public Radio and Montana PBS here in Missoula. I was born and raised in Missoula and started my musical educational journey with Carl Smart at Roosevelt and Karen Callan at the MCPS All-City Choir. I continued to grow as a Missoulian and musician with David Barthelmess, John Combs, and Dean Peterson at Hellgate. In 1987, as a fresh graduate from Hellgate High School, I got to culminate my MCPS musical experiences and was honored to sing in the first International Choral Festival under David Heidel from Sentinel High School. It altered the course of my life, resulting in studying abroad with the University of Montana Chamber Chorale in Vienna, Austria, and a lifetime of singing in Missoula ensembles like the Missoula Mendelssohn Club, Missoula Symphony, Dolce Canto, and the Iga Singers, who just sang before the meeting. Missoula is a cultural hub, with new musicians continually growing directly out of MCPS, out of the public school system. I've got some questions. Where would these organizations be without these new musicians grown through the support of the arts in public schools? Without them, what does Missoula become? Cutting the arts education director and funding for the arts will negatively impact students and their future opportunities. It will negatively impact the ensembles I've mentioned, and it will negatively impact the Montana International Choral Festival as Missoula declines from a vibrant cultural hub to a generic average middle American city. Please hear how important this position and the arts are to our community. Revisit the budget, find a way to keep the arts education director and keep the arts vibrant in MCPS. Thank you for your time.
Kristen Zechner.
Hi, and thank you for hearing us all tonight. My name is Kristen Schechner, Kristin Zschachner. I am speaking tonight as an MCPS mom of 6 years now, a community member, a taxpayer, a voter, an MCPS educator of 14 years. I wasn't really sure if I was going to talk tonight, but I felt like I couldn't not after something recently transpired in my classroom. I had a class of 5th graders enter my room for music class, and as they were getting settled, they were kind of starting to just sing songs on their own from a musical that they are learning about the American Revolution called Taxation. One of the lines, very, very catchy, taxation, taxation, without representation. And as my back was turned, one of them says, "Hey, that sounds like what the school bosses are doing. They want your taxes, but not your opinion." And this is where my concern comes in. Like, this is what our community is talking about, including our elementary school students. Recently, I've just seen a huge amount of social media posts, and I've overheard conversations in public places about kids sending their, or people sending their kids to public or to private schools, to different school districts, to voting no on our levies because our community isn't being listened to. So I took it upon myself to do a little bit of research, and many different places around the country have school board job descriptions that include statements similar to this. The role of the school board is to ensure that school districts are responsive to the values, beliefs, and priorities of their communities. At the last board meeting, I overheard someone say to one of our trustees how highly they thought of them, and that trustee's response was, "I hope you still think so after this meeting is over." This is not meant as accusatory, but it just says a lot. It says that their mind was already made up. It says that the person our community elected to represent them has no interest in listening to their constituents, which could ultimately help them to make informed decisions that reflect their community values. So I bring it back to this. My concern is that we are losing the support of our community by not listening to them. That means people voting no on our levies because they don't agree with how their tax dollars are being used in schools. That means people taking their children to different school districts or private schools, which means less funding for MCPS schools. My children, my students, my colleagues' jobs, my job, the list just goes on. So in closing, I ask you to please listen to your community, the people who voted you into these positions to represent them, and the hundreds of people who wrote in or spoke out in the past month. Because as we all know, we need all the help that we can get right now. Thank you.
Madeline Martin.
Madeline Martin, Martin. I'm coming here to represent my art teacher, and if art teachers weren't there at our schools, it's giving us a plus in college if we do go to college and art school, so we can it's giving us so we can know a lot more about art. Like, famous artists can do a lot more if in their early years they can just do art. It's really easy for kids to start loving art. It's very messy, but they can learn a lot from it. Thank you for your time.
Suzette Dussault.
Suzette, Dussault, and I'm speaking tonight as a teacher. I don't know how many of you have really been in a classroom, maybe as a parent, partner in the classroom, but a classroom is made up of 20 to 25 individuals. And as a classroom teacher, it was my job to make sure that each of those individuals had a meaningful school experience and that they continued to grow and develop during that school year that I was privileged to be with them. As a teacher, I had students of different abilities, students from different incomes, students from different backgrounds, different experiences, different needs, different abilities, different challenges. And we came together as a learning community. As a best practices, it was the notion to teach to the whole child. And as you know, especially with your children, that the whole child incorporates play, it incorporates drawing, it incorporates music, it incorporates movement to make sense of their world. Now, what my belief was to teach to that child, to teach to their strengths. If they were a child who was particularly gifted in art, we made sure that that child was able to interpret their learning through art, or they were able to interpret it through dance or movement or theater or music. And we, of course, taught them how to read. We taught them how to write. We taught them how to communicate. We taught them to be scientists, to be historians, to be full and whole individuals. And as a teacher, I believe that I would like to ask you to make cuts as far as from the classroom as possible. The art teachers, the music teachers, the librarians, the special needs teachers, the special needs students and families need the support and the help that the district needs to bring. And the classroom teachers need also that support and that help from those professionals who are enriching the lives of these children. So make cuts as far away from the classroom as possible. You might want to delay a curriculum adoption, a textbook adoption. You might want to defer technology purchases because they're simply tools. It is the teacher who is learning with the child and developing that child that is critical. 100 cuts in a school district of this size is unconscionable. So be creative, as one person
Your time's
said,
up.
go
Thank
back
you.
to the drawing board and make the cuts as far from the child as possible. Thank you.
Rob Tapper.
Please stick to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, Rob Tapper, R-O-B-T-A-P-P-E-R. I spoke at the previous meeting on behalf of our Fine Arts Director position. I'm director of the University of Montana Jazz Program and involved with this person in this position in literally every event we do. I'm optimistic there's hope for the retention and change for this fine arts position. Respectfully, please hear your people. It has been stated and proven the arts are essential to the education and growth of young people in collaboration and in our society. Doug Flutie plays the drums. Pele played guitar, sorry. Andre Agassi plays piano. Kevin Costner plays piano. Ryan Gosling plays the cello. Julia Roberts played clarinet in her high school band. This isn't only about this position or one person, it is holistic for our entire community. I had the opportunity to teach middle school and high school band, and I have the utmost tremendous respect for music educators. Without an arts director to help with event details such as auditions for honors groups, hotels, registration, buses, chaperones, forms, so many forms, uniforms, itineraries, concert dress, payment logistics, and many more different aspects to every single event. Without that person in that position, then actually teaching and preparing for classes, trips, ensembles would be robustly impacted. Everyone, students, teachers, parents, patrons, transposition people would suffer. The average high school band director is involved every year in parades, all-state music conference, echoing John Combs, state music festival, band festival, all-star weekend at UM, honor groups, AA band festival, district music festival, jazz festivals, Billings, University of Montana, Seattle, outreach to middle schools, fundraisers, trips, plus all of their own concert performances throughout the year. This is in addition to marching band rehearsals, football games, volleyball, basketball, pep band, both boys and girls. That's just one high school band director. Add high school orchestra, choir, drama, art teachers, and then add middle school and elementary programs as well. I say this with humility and respect. That is not the schedule of the average math, science, English, or history teacher in our district. This position is essential to the productivity and health of our district teachers, as well as the growth of the children. I'll conclude the way I began. The Fine Arts Director has access to more students than any other staff member in this district. This position is essential, period, full stop. I'm optimistic there is hope for change in making the right decision. Thank you.
Co Putnam.
My name is Coelle. It's spelled C-O-I-L-L-E-P-U-T-M-A-N. First off, I want to address the MCPS administration, school board, and the budget committee. The fact that you're in these roles shows your dedication to education. Thank you. You have been given a monumental task, large budget cuts in an era of reduced funding from the state and expiring ESSER funds. To the concerned citizens of our community, you are likely here because you are concerned about education of our students. We are Montanans. I want to remind you, important education elections are coming up this season in fall. A really important one: Superintendent of Public Instruction, state legislature, governor's office. I urge you to educate yourselves about the drastic changing funding practices in our state, the impact of legislative bills, and to vote in upcoming elections. So regarding the current budget cuts at hand, when I open the MCPS website, it has two values that jump out: forward-thinking, high-achieving. Use of ESSER funds. I wonder, were they used wisely? This was before your time, Superintendent Hill. Was there forward-thinking? Any position that was hired or a promotion that was made using ESSER funds needs to be rigorously evaluated. This does affect real people, dedicated professionals who work very hard at their jobs. I feel your sting. I'm in a similar situation, different organization, different funds. It stings. Regarding other budget cuts, we all know that across our nation, in Montana, in Missoula, mental health and behavioral issues are on the rise, especially among our youth, staggering rates. There are no easy answers. Arts and music education and also supporting those who need intervention are essential. I could reiterate many of the comments that were said in letters and others. I also want to say that I'm supportive that any program that engages students, including athletics. But I will tell you, it is deflated when I have a current MCPS administrator tell me that the supporters of the proposed baseball program were told to raise startup funds for the first year because we were in a budget crunch year, and after that, the district would support them. Is this forward thinking? So the other three adjectives on the MCS website: cultivate, connect, contribute. I'd like to end quickly by paraphrasing a quote by Kelly Pollack. The true purpose of arts education is not necessarily to create more professional dancers, musicians, or artists. It's to create more complete human beings who are critical thinkers, who have curious minds, who can lead productive lives. Thank you.
Hillary Welzenbach.
My name is Hillary Welzenbach, Hillary Welzenbach. The first thing I want to do is thank every person in this room for our attention. We are our community, and I am proud to be part of a community that cares this much about our capacity to be creative, our capacity to express ourselves, and our children. I am a mother. I have 2 daughters. They are in 7th grade and 10th grade, and they love music. Since the schools came back to being fully in person, it has been the place for them where they feel the most connected, where they experience joy. It is the reason why they want to go to school. I relate. I also am a musician, and I relate to this joy. But what I want you to think about is, when was a moment when you experienced this? I know you have experienced this. When you experienced connection. When you experience something that transcends you to a place that is bigger, that matters, something that is beautiful, something that you feel you want to offer, a gift. This is what we create in these moments. This is what our children get to experience in their small bodies. This is what we want in our community. This is the culture that we want to be a part of. I have a degree in ethnomusicology. I've spent a lot of time thinking about music and culture. And I'm a dance therapist, and I run Montana Center for Somatic Psychotherapy. Since the pandemic, our business has exploded because people are processing what it has meant to be in isolation. We did not understand the value of our community and our culture, and we don't understand how to put it back together. The ESSER funds are going away, and the need for our connection, the need for our meaning making of what this time has been, the need for something beautiful is more than ever has been before. We are a creative community. Look at us. Every single one of us are creative. I understand, and I do not envy your position of having to make sense of the money. But money is a tool. It is not the end. And we need to use our tools to create the culture that we want to live in, because that is the culture we are going to live in. We are going to live in the culture that we are creating right now. And when we make something beautiful, we live in something beautiful. When we make something creative, we live in something creative. When we give our children the message that what they have to say is important, we want to hear them, and what we hear from them is something that matters, that will serve us more than anything else we can do. And we make those choices. That's a powerful
Your time's up.
position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather Adams.
Hello, my name is Heather Adams. I'll spell it this time, Heatheradams. Building on what Jim Smart and John Combs and Rob Tapper said with all of these events that happen in Missoula, there's an economic impact to Missoula. So Arts Missoula, of which I'm the executive director of, does an arts and economic impact survey every 3, 4, or if there's a pandemic, 5 years. And this comes out of the Americans for the Arts. There's 360 communities across the United States that do these impact surveys. There's only one in Montana, that's in Missoula, because they recognize how deeply we care about how arts impact our local economy. So when you think about all of those events that Don laid out, what we discovered over this year-long survey is that every time someone goes to an event, they spend about $29, right? So that's a dance show, that's a theater performance, that's music. So there's a ton of money being pumped back into the economy every time an event happens. Now, if you think about these district music festivals, these choir festivals, these art shows, where 900 kids are coming to Montana, that has a significant economic impact to our community. So this position is not only impacting MCPS students and the district and reaching hundreds of kids thousands of kids within the district, it's reaching thousands of people across the state, and that's having a ripple effect of economic impact. So while the budget constraints are very difficult, and I think everyone has said they don't envy your position, and we all feel for that, but the economic impact of it will last forever. Missoula is a leader in the arts. That's why Americans for the Arts in Washington, D.C. chose Missoula as a place to really calculate the impact that the arts have. The Kennedy Center also chose Missoula when they decided, the 13th, was it? The 13th community for any given child, right, to place what now is Spark here, because they identified this community as a place that cared deeply. So it's not just about the position, it's about the ripple effect, the economic impact. We all know, I think, that you care about the arts. I don't have any question about that, but I think we have to think about this long term and what it does to the rest of the community. Thank you.
Is there anyone who's not yet spoken who would like to give public comment tonight?
Would you like this or not? Do you need this?
Good evening. First of all, you're doing a wonderful job listening. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. When I talked to you last, I was...
Could you please tell us your name and spell it?
Oh, sorry,
Thank
I
you.
always forget that. I don't want you to know my name. Jan, Jan Feddersen, Janfeddersen. My affiliation is partially retired. I was the one that said I traveled to 69 countries out of nervousness, but it was actually 29 for Oracle. But what I didn't tell you is who got me there. And that's what you need to know. And I'll tell you, the person is wrapped in a ribbon that's called Monty Greasy and John Combs. Only at that time, his name was Jack McGuinn. And Jack McGuinn was born in Butte, Montana. And then when he got his degree out of the University of Montana in music education, he flew to Alaska. And that's where I was born in Polson, but my parents took me to Alaska. So all of my music education started from 7th grade, and this figure, Jack McGuinn, started pushing and pulling me through all this, one after another. And the next thing I knew, besides Rob Tapper flying into DC-3 to a jazz festival from Anchorage to Kenai, that was an experience, I ended in All Northwest in my high school year. Music became a part of me. I came to the university and started playing with Dr. David Whitwell. Don't start adding up the years here. 60 years worth of experience of how music affected me. And those 60 years then just pulled me through in so many ways. When women weren't successful in those years, I just kept going up and up out of an inner confidence that I was going to be able to do it. And I know that it came from that kind of influence, that kind of artistry to help me grow as a kid. Really, I know that. And so now I'm on the other end, and I've got Gary Gillette to help me through my senior years. He'll like that. All of that is a way to just absolutely love life and a deeper understanding of people, a way to interact. And then I watch each of you trying to make a decision like this. And the one thing I heard in all of this is there another way to find the cash? Is there somebody that might want to donate? Because you're really, I understand that you're strapped. Are there other ways besides just what you've tried to get down to the pennies? So that's basically my thought. But I just really attribute my music, even though my degree was in business and economics, music was the soul of helping me grow to be who I am. Thank you.
Kelly Durbin Williams.
Good evening. I have to be really careful because I have a coach's voice, so I may have to go all the way back here so as not to blast you all out of the room. Kelly Durbin Williams, K-E-L-L-E-Y, Durbin, D-U-R-B-I-N dash Williams, W-I-L-L-I-A-M-S, way too long. Hopefully everybody gets to take a deep breath. I would have been on time, but I was coaching. I want to give you, hopefully I can do this in 30 seconds. I think I was ADHD before they understood it. I am so grateful for my beautiful mother who had the wisdom to put me in gymnastics at age 6. And I forgive my father who told her, don't worry, she'll quit. Because here I am 48 years later, still in the sport of gymnastics. I run Mismo Gymnastics. We now own On Center Performing Arts and Summit Cheer. So to say I have a little bit of a passion for children and the arts and activities would be an understatement. I tried to keep my phone alive long enough to read you a great quote, but what I will start with is what I know for sure. After 40 years of working with young people, what I know for sure is that arts and music and athletics are the drugs of choice for our children. And if you don't invest the money today in all of the administrative positions that support special education, the arts, and community service, because I was looking at the list of positions cut, you will, as alluded to earlier, be in trouble from a psychological perspective. And our community and the world, based on a lot of research from the United Nations, will be facing massive challenges in the form of mental health. So, what I know as a person who has run a business for 24 years in administrating 42 employees who are artists themselves, I love us, but it's a little bit like herding cats sometimes. The coaches, the teachers absolutely appreciate and respect the administrative support that they get both from you, from our superintendent, and from their principals and their and the teacher support, the academic coaches that are being cut. What I am saying to you is, I get budget cuts. My business survived a pandemic where we received literally a 50% cut in our budget. And did we get any funding from COVID? Yes. Yes, we did, and we managed it. And I became a grant writer. Man, I didn't know I could do that. But being an administrator and a teacher, these are two very distinctly time-consuming things. And this is one administrative position, one of them, that I think will radically negatively impact your district if you do not address this. I am happy to now go back and read the budget. I am so inspired by tonight's turnout. Good job, Missoula. So proud of you. Wow. And I'm proud of you guys because I have sat with massive budget cuts. Recession in 08, 09. I sold my house and moved into the office of my gym. I feel you. So I will look at the budget and I will see if I can help with the creative side because I am so good at creativity. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has not spoken who would like to speak tonight? No further public comment?
All right. Thank you, everyone that gave public comments. So now we'll move on to item 6, which are reports and announcements. First up is the Health Insurance Trust Fund report. There is no oral report, but we do have announcements from the superintendent. So I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Hill, Superintendent Hill.
Just wanted to give a quick update. We sent out interest surveys on our charter schools this week. Right now, we have 82 who have expressed interest in the Teach Academy, which is the early K, early literacy through third. And then we also had another 80 who have expressed interest in the Connect Academy. The MOA currently is serving 55 students, so we're seeing that there's a little bit of an uptick there. So that's positive, and we'll keep updating as we get more information. And that's it.
All right, so now we're on to item 7, which is new business. And first step is to approve the Montana Healthcare Foundation grant application. And this is over to you, Assistant Superintendent Amy Shattuck.
Hi, and I would like to invite Cameron Johnson, the principal of Willard, to come up and discuss this grant. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here to seek the board's approval to submit the Montana Healthcare Foundation Planning Grant to research the possibility of starting a substance recovery program at Willard Alternative High School. The maximum amount of the grant is $50,000, and that money would be used to plan and look at possible curriculum, schedules, and ways to work with community partners to support a student struggling with substance use and addiction.
Any questions? Trustee Witcher.
This is fantastic and really, really needed in our community for our young people. A couple of questions. So the $50,000 is a exploratory grant?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And so has any of these organizations, the Montana Healthcare Foundation, have they said upon exploratory things that there is funding to support any of the positions that might be needed?
So they have an implementation grant that can be applied for after the planning grant, and that's a 2-year grant with upwards of, I think, $100,000 available. But what we would actually leverage is our connection with Partnership Health. So we have 2 people that are employed with Partnership Health that work at Willard, a behavior specialist and a community health care worker. So we use that connection to actually offer the LAC and other services, behavioral and mental health services, through Partnership Health. And then also partner with Western Montana Mental Health as well to provide services. And then I also serve on drug court, so we would also leverage drug court and some of the resources drug court has to support the students in the long-term part of this. So ultimately, the idea would be that this would be budget neutral for MCPS, and we would use community partners to support the work.
Trustee Witcher, then Trustee Decker.
Is this something that the district might be willing to start thinking about their substance use suspension policy and referring kiddos to this program instead of suspension?
I would say definitely yes. Our conversations have even been, starting at a lower level with vaping and tobacco use. We've explored some opportunities, specifically with our nurse, Brooke Kreininger, for and I'm going to blank out on the name of it, but Cameron's been a part of the conversation.
In-depth.
In-depth. For referring students to a cessation program and other services before we get to suspension. So alternatives to consequences and really trying to address the root problem.
I guess it's more of a comment. This is such a fantastic opportunity to explore something really necessary, innovative, and it just speaks to the breadth of the partnerships and the creativity that MCPS staff brings to something like this. I'm really thrilled. I wish that people were still in the room to hear that this is the way MCPS does business a lot of the time. I see all of you, and I'm glad you all are here, but you know what I'm saying. This is such a fantastic example of being creative and leveraging community partnerships to get something done that's desperately needed. So I'm super excited about this.
Any other trustee questions? Seeing none, this is a high school board motion. Is there a high school trustee moving the recommendation? Moved by trustee Witcher, second by trustee Wallach. Any final trustee comments? Nope. Any public comment on this agenda item? All trustees in favor for approving the recommendation, please indicate yes by raising your hand. Unanimous to all trustees present and online. Thank you. Okay, now so we'll move on to 2, which is to approve the first reading of the revised board policy 3141, and this is over to you, Superintendent Hill.
Thank you. Tonight, we have 2 policies in front of you, 3141 and policy 7008. And these are in reference to House Bill 203, which was signed into law this past legislative session and goes into effect July 1st of this year. And what I've attempted to do on page 32 is to summarize a really lengthy bit of policy here. And basically what this is it's the state has authorized open enrollment to districts, meaning that districts can't unilaterally exclude students from their district if a parent wants to send them there and has the means to transport them, et cetera. The other caveat to this is that the sending district will now pay, the receiving district will ask the sending district to permissibly levy through the tuition fund the cost of educating that child in another district. So the local taxpayers will bear the burden of educating our students in someone else's school, in someone else's district. So it's a really interesting piece of legislation. We have gone through, there's a version of these policies that was put out by Montana School Boards Association. We worked with Bia Calava and her law office to refine the policy, looking at what some of the other districts have done around the state as well. And so this is really to just kind of boil it down to what is this policy actually saying. And basically what it says, and so if you are new to the district, if you're going to enroll from out of district, you have to have an application in by a certain deadline. We set the deadline. We chose January 31st because of staffing and space availability and all of those kind of things. We need to be able to have planning time. It could be a rolling deadline. It could be a number of things. So we bring it to the board this time for discussion, first reading, so that we have an opportunity to say, well, we like that idea, we don't like that idea, but this is what we've done for first blush. When someone has applied to the district, we have to notify them within 10 days of receiving the application. And so as an example, we received a letter just recently from Hellgate Elementary District notifying us that they have approximately 20 students of MCPS students that will be attending Hellgate Elementary. And right now, that's the only step in the process. Their board will then choose to either enroll those students or deny enrollment to those students based on their factors that they would identify either in their integrated strategic action plan or their strategic plan. So we have also identified that the Board of Trustees will meet in the first regular board meeting in March to approve or deny the application that would be coming in. And so all those applications would be vetted through the superintendent's office. We are not going to review incomplete applications. So whatever we say, here's the deadline, and here's what you need to have. If it's not in, it's a non-starter for the district to entertain whether that student comes into the district. It requires them to provide 3 years of academic behavior and attendance data, which doesn't necessarily mean they're disqualified, but the law is specific to say that school districts can exclude students who have been suspended or expelled from their previous district. So the board meets, they approve the list. If we're going to deny someone, we actually have to have a session for that student to be able, or parent to be able to challenge, why are you denying our application? If they're denied, then we would send them a letter within 10 days of either approval or denial. And then this is where Pat kind of gets involved, and this is where policy 7008 comes into play, is that Pat has until July 15th to notify that district, you need to permissibly levy in your tuition fund for those dollars. If they don't, they're gonna have to pay us out of their general fund for those student costs. So this is an ongoing and repeated application every single year that a non-resident student attend school at MCPS. So the next step in that application procedure is really to identify, the application procedure, I talked about all those things. The next step is that current out-of-district enrollments piece. So if you are currently in the district as an out-of-district student, you would apply every year. You would go through these steps again where the board would either approve or deny. There is no guarantee for what school you attend. It is only that you get enrollment in the district. We will notify by August 15th what school you attend. But even as we maybe would experience an influx of students, maybe we had capacity at, say, Hawthorne in 3rd grade. We say yes, the next year someone moves in, we have a new 4th grader, now suddenly we don't have room for that student. That student can either go back to the resident district if we don't have room, or we can say you're going now to a different elementary school where we do have room. So it's a big one in terms of the overall policy, and you'll see that the version on pages 33, 34, it's basically we crossed out the entire policy and rewrote it for new. Included in all of this then is the steps that we have to take with the Office of Public Instruction. They have a form, it's included in the packet. It is not a great form for this right now, and so we're going to be seeking some revision for that form. And then there's a process and a letter and notification system that we would follow through these policies. So not only is it policy, but it's procedure and it's forms. And now Amy will answer all your questions.
Trustee Witcher.
Okay, couple of questions. Right now, do we have more students going out of district than coming in? Or where are we at right now? More going out. So we have more going out. So we stand to be losing A and B to other school districts at this point.
We are already losing the A and B to other school districts at this point, but what we will also do now is we will levy our taxpayers to send those kids to someone else's district.
So when I read through this policy, it makes us seem less attractive for students to come into our district because they can't pick and choose where they go. Is that fair to say?
Potentially.
So I just am like, if we're sending more students out and we have a really strict policy about students coming in, is it in the financial best interest of the district?
Undoubtedly, it's not in the best interest of the district from a financial perspective, but if I have a classroom of, say, 29 third graders and we're already over by a couple, and I really want my child to be at that school with that teacher, and we're saying, okay, teacher, we understand that this is an additional burden to you, but we're going to do it anyways because it's about the money. And so we want to be able to retain that control of what does that look like long-term. We don't actually know what the overall effect of this is going to be. We have not opened up we haven't adopted this policy, so we haven't opened this up. We haven't communicated anything out. But we stand to gain some people because we have, for a long time, been a district with essentially closed borders saying, we don't have room, we don't have room.
I just have a follow-up question. Our new charter schools, they still play under this thing where a child can't be like, I want to go to the Teach Academy and I want to choose MOA?
No, they actually can, but if we exceed capacity, then we have to go to a lottery system.
Okay, so out-of-district kiddos can be like, I want Teach Academy, but they can't be like, I want Lowell or Hawthorne.
Yeah, well, it depends on room. If they say, I want Teach Academy and we exceed our capacity, we have to enter into a lottery system, and it creates a new system for those students who specifically want charter schools, not just the regular public schools.
Trustee Decker.
Do we have an obligation to transport students, or would it be sort of like, oh, we pick them up as close to the border of their district as can be? Like, if they wanted to come drive into our district and hook up with a bus route, they could do that?
There's the potential for that, but it's essentially no obligation to transport.
Okay.
If we wanted to, or if you even wanted to enter into an agreement with another district, it gets approved through the county superintendent's office, and we can drive our buses into their district to pick up kids, but even that takes approval.
Okay. And my other question is, like I know some families who have actually moved to Missoula to enroll their kids who have special needs in Missoula County Public Schools because we have more robust services as a larger district in some ways. And I'm wondering if do we also get special ed funding from the districts that would send, like how does that work? Does that follow the student? Do we just get what they would levy, or do we also then have the ability to get special ed funding through the regular federal, like, what is that?
Pat might be able to answer the question better, but I would say that it is, you get the permissive tuition levy from that district and then excess special education costs, if there are any, for that student. And that, which is also part of the tuition levy, which is what we currently do for students within the district now.
So we would get that from the sending district?
Yeah, they would be counted in our A and B, so the funds that relate to the students, the related services block grant, instructional block grant, because they'd be treated as our students. Same funding, yeah. And then the one point that when we receive, if we receive tuition funds from a resident district, the funds are directed to reduce base local levies. So it's not new income, it's just reduces local taxes.
So then when we do A and B counts twice a year, those out-of-district students, the A and B attaches kind of to us, or it attaches to them?
So they're treated as our student and our A and B.
So then we get to sort of roll with that for a few years, sort of?
Under the tuition agreement, yeah. Yep.
Trustee Mercer.
So, but on the excess sped costs, where does that go? Because that we permissively levy of our people now, we would get it from the sending, or no?
No, so we wouldn't get it from the resident district. We could levy our district to cover that cost, that excess special ed cost.
Trustee Witcher.
I just want to make sure that nowhere in these, the sets of "we will consider you," it talks anything about playing sports for a specific school. I want to go to MCPS to play football, this school. When it says, when this equivalent program, students entering kindergarten or all those grades who district of residence does not provide an equivalent program. Number 7, what's an equivalent program? Is that special ed? Is that CTE? Is that sports?
Yeah, it is not, it's not specifically referring to activities or athletics. It's referring to, for example, like an ag ed program or a Willard program or other programs. It could be referring specifically to even a special education program where we have site-based programs for, what's that? Like Def Ed, SLP, ERC, those kind of things.
Trustee Mercer.
Can you articulate what the choice we have here is? I mean, this was created by state law. We can pick deadlines, we could be super restrictive. Can you just articulate what the choice even is?
Yeah, so mandated by state law, so the choices are really boiled down to deadlines, but it also boils down to what does the board want to establish for educational programming as a whole for the district. Because what you look at as part of the exclusionary reasons or the reasons why we would say no to someone, the first thing we want to be very careful about is discrimination. You can't deny someone on a basis of one thing or another. So you go to our non-discrimination policy. But then we have capacities. Well, school boards could, in a strategic plan, say it is our goal to not have any classroom in our district over 20 students. Could say that, and then that becomes the defining factor of whether or not we have capacity. We have capacity up to 20 students in kindergarten, but state law, the administrative rules say, well, if you go 1 over, you provide an hour and a half of additional para support up to 5. After 5, it's considered excessive, but no penalty, no like, there's nothing else in there other than to say we think it's excessive. So again, it comes back to what is the board's willingness to allow students to come into MCPS and doing so in a way that it does not discriminate against somebody. So even programmatically, if we talk about programs or charter schools, we identify a capacity. We can handle approximately 6 kids in this program. They're very intensive. We have to have room to be able to allow students to come in, with disabilities or otherwise. And so we have to be able to safeguard that. And that's what ends up being included in the integrated strategic action plan that we're working on as a district right now. But overall, when you look at these, they're pretty, what do they say? Building construction standards, capacity and ingress and egress elements, evacuation elements, et cetera. So looking at life, health, safety as a component of that, but then also looking at your accreditation standards for defining that.
So the accreditation, is that in 2 then, impede the goals, or so is our limit accreditation then? Is that what you're saying? That our capacity limit, we're saying, is accreditation?
Yeah.
Trustee Witcher.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember my train of thought. Do we have an idea what other school districts are doing? Are they adopting a one-time enrolling fee, or are they just saying come willy-nilly? Do we have an idea of where they're at, especially the surrounding Missoula districts?
Everybody's in a little different spot. Some districts have already adopted a policy and moved it forward. We waited. Bozeman right away had it ready to go in December. And then they basically gave a 30-day window to enroll students under this policy. So people are at different spots. The thing that I would say about the dates that we've identified in here for this policy specifically is that will be for not this year, but for the following year. We're going to have a date of, ultimately I think this policy could be approved at the earliest would be April, the first April meeting? Yep. And so then we would say we need to know by May. I mean, we're just going to have to shorten up those deadlines and timelines.
Trustee Mercer?
So is it possible to have sort of a date at which, if you apply by this, unless we'll give you an acceptance by such and such date and you'll know. But then if we do have capacity throughout the year, can you like rolling take people, or does it have to be kind of all or nothing?
I think in here, and I'm trying to look for the spot. Amy, I can't remember, did we leave in the superintendent has or did we take that out?
No, we did. We left that in.
I'm trying to find the lines.
Are you looking for the procedure after it's been approved by the
Oh,
board?
maybe that's where I'm supposed to be looking.
Yeah.
Number 2, late applications, I knew I was in here somewhere. Late applications may be accepted at the discretion of the superintendent or designee only in extreme and extenuating circumstances. If we suddenly had 10 spots open up and then we had 5 students that wanted to enroll, I would consider that an extenuating circumstance where we would be able to allow for that. But each time we do this, and keeping in mind that this is a new procedure that the board will have to undertake, so we get an application, I have 10 days to notify, I have to set a date for when the board meeting would be, notify them of that date, if there's an approval or a denial, whatever those reasons are, but it will take board action every time. And so we're trying to, in some ways, consolidate this. We talked about doing a semester application process and looking at it, on a semester basis. There's just so much unknown. I don't know if we're going to get 200 applications when we open this up, or if we're going to get just a handful. So that's just part of the rationale for why the policy exists as it does right now. The board always reserves the right to change the policy. And you could potentially see a recommendation coming from the administration to do that after we've had a chance to experience what it's going to be like.
Any other trustee questions? And this is a full board motion. So is there a motion from a trustee to approve the first reading and public posting? Moved by trustee Decker, second by trustee Witcher. Any final trustee comments? Trustee Decker.
I hope that the administration feels able to really share with the board over the next year sort of the impacts of this so that folks are ready to talk to legislators about how it's working.
Any other comments? Any public comment? Approve the first reading, please indicate yes by raising your hand. Unanimous to all trustees present. Oh, trustee Wake, did you vote? Yep, okay, all unanimous to all trustees present and online. So now we'll move on to B, teacher and learning, and it's information only for the comprehensive needs assessment summary. And I'll go ahead and turn this over to Ms. Frank.
Hello, thank you. So part of the legislation that we have this year and changes at OPI is that we have a new school improvement process. So it was formerly called the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan, or the CSIP, and now it's called the Integrated Strategic Action Plan, or the ISAP. So if you're keeping up on your acronyms, this is now the ISAP. And so this process was rolled out this fall, and one of the requirements that we were given was to do a comprehensive needs assessment for the school district. So you saw that survey go out at the end of January. There was one that came specifically to board members. The questions were taken from the OPI needs assessment, so they weren't generated by us at this time, but next year we'll have more time to do a more thorough survey, really focused on Missoula needs. But we were able to gather feedback from all different groups, and that is summarized for you with the areas of strength and need in your board packet. And then last Friday, we gathered a group of community stakeholders to go over that comprehensive needs assessment and just distill down to us what they saw as the top 3 needs of the district. And from that group, they talked about classroom size, working together with community partners to align outcomes to support student needs, and quality after-school programming that aligns with quality instruction. And they added one more that was overlooked on the Office of Public Instruction's comprehensive needs assessment, which was mental and behavioral health data. It was something that was not included on that needs assessment, and our group said, please, next time, let's get some more information around that. There were a lot of great suggestions from the group, and specifically to the board, the group suggested possibly a 5-minute video monthly hosted by a different trustee highlighting the work of the board and what you're doing, posted on our website to help communicate from the board. And I thought that was a pretty interesting suggestion that they asked that we bring forward to you. We will continue to work on this comprehensive needs assessment data and develop 3 district-wide goals. And then those goals will drive our integrated strategic action plan. The other piece of this is the graduate profile, and that was included in the comprehensive needs assessment, and that's something we'll be bringing back to you again. So we started the graduate profile last year, and a community group met throughout the year last year and helped us come up with 6 traits. And the traits that they came up with last year were self-starter, agile thinker, communicator, collaborator, global citizen, and balanced. And we received a lot of feedback around global citizen, and so the group asked us if we could change that to engaged citizens. And then they had a suggestion around self-starter They'd like to see it called something else, but they didn't know what to call that. So we have a little bit more work to do on our graduate profile. And then the graduate profile is intended to be the North Star of your district and guide all of our work and decision making. So as we get closer to landing on what that looks like, we'll be bringing it to you for your specific feedback in a public meeting so we can make sure that this is really something that we can all get behind as a community to drive our work forward.
Trustee Decker.
Thanks. I'm always fascinated to know what people are saying from all different perspectives. And it just really jumps out at me that students aren't on here. And I wonder if that's because this was OPI's survey, and if it's possible that next year we can include asking students for their input around all of this.
We did send out a student survey. We just didn't have very good responses, and so we didn't feel like the data was valid at this point. So we're wondering about maybe not a survey, but doing focus groups with high school kids and middle school kids. I think when you do, I know from the focus groups I've done with the kids, I find those to be some of the most valuable way that we can get feedback. I know those of you who go on your board visits and the kids do the lead the tour and you get to ask them questions, it always feels like you get a whole new perspective. So yes, we absolutely need more student feedback, and next year when we have more time to do this process a little more thoroughly, I would hope that we'll be able to engage in a number of opportunities and focus groups, but also outside with our community partners and other groups to really help us strategize and get behind this graduate profile.
Any trustee questions or comments? Trustee Witcher, then Trustee Mercer.
I noticed on 3 of the 6 of these, that we need to improve upon our school board openly communicates ideas and plans. I find that really interesting, and I look forward to digging into exactly how the heck to do that. But I think the 5-minute video, maybe some TikToks. But I just find it interesting that like 3 of the major groups, the areas of growth with school board communication, I don't know. I find that to be very interesting. And obviously class size, but yeah. And that after school program stuff.
Trustee Mercer.
So is there a different place where there's the more, say, objective? I mean, so here's a survey that says people are concerned about the performance gap between subgroups, but I assume we could have actual data on what the performance gap for subgroups is and what our class size is and our attendance and whether, and I appreciate the graduate profile language and whatnot, but I also want to know that our graduates are basically literate and basically numerate, and I would want to know that objectively, not just from a survey sense of what we feel.
We have those, we can give you summaries. We did share at the community forum all of that data that you just mentioned that showed class sizes and some of the disparities. We've also been doing a number of needs assessments in specific programs like Title I and really digging into the disparities in areas. And I know that on the budget plan that you've worked on, that one of the areas that we have talked about adding to is an area that was identified as having disparate needs, and that's around our BIPOC students, especially our Native American students and our ELL students. But that is definitely an area we can share more data with you. We have some posters and things that we've been sharing with the community. And then in the needs assessment, we did put a link in there for people to go in and dig a little deeper into data, but I'm not sure how many people accessed the link. Those Google Forms are kind of clunky sometimes.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Any public comments? Seeing none. The time is now 7:58 and we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.